The struggles I hear are timing issues,
Mm,
scheduling issues, um, things that maybe should not be funneled to the dental assistant, but more of a front office, especially like when the patient gets in the chair and they say to you, well, how much is this going to cost me today? At times, I feel like they're not prepared and they don't know because maybe the front didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it really is a communication thing between the patient and the front office that will make our job a little bit easier as a dental assistant. And also, lastly, the scheduling. I often hear that, well, they just shove patients in.
mm.
And as you know, as a dentist, why are we shoving patients? Because when you are heightened, and your schedule is jammed packed, you feel the pressure. And that's why I think things start to go wrong and start to break down. So, how do we fix the front understanding how long it takes the doc to do a certain thing or our processes in the back?
Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of Gloves Off. I'm David Rice. I'm your chief editor here at DentistryIQ with,
Julie, a dental assistant of 32 years.
hey, Julie, what's shaking?
Well, certainly not my pool right about now because it's a little under the weather. I have to patch my pool. So my pool is a little green and swampy.
Oh,
And in
no,
93-degree weather right now, it's not really fun. So I'm hoping
no.
today we get it back patched and start getting it filled here. So,
I like that. All right. Good segue. We got some things to fix or correct in a dental practice. And, we can talk
okay.
about assistants and dentists and assistants and hygienists. Today, I want us to focus on assistants and the front office team. I think there's often like this maybe silent, maybe not so silent battle that happens between front and back. And you talk
hmm
to thousands and thousands of people on dental teams. So, like, what are you hearing?
The struggles I hear are timing issues,
Mm,
scheduling issues, um, things that maybe should not be funneled to the dental assistant, but more of a front office, especially like when the patient gets in the chair and they say to you, well, how much is this going to cost me today? At times, I feel like they're not prepared and they don't know because maybe the front didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it really is a communication thing between the patient and the front office that will make our job a little bit easier as a dental assistant. And also, lastly, the scheduling. I often hear that, well, they just shove patients in.
mm,
And as you know, as a dentist, why are we shoving patients? Because when you are heightened, and your schedule is jammed packed, you feel the pressure. And that's why I think things start to go wrong and start to break down. So, how do we fix the front understanding how long it takes the doc to do a certain thing or our processes in the back?
ooh, I like that. Okay.
Mhm.
So, who really ought to be helping the team, the people on the team, understand the process for the practice so we can dodge all of this fun stuff?
I honestly, I think it's a team effort. I think it needs to
Yeah.
start with the dentist. I think
Yeah.
if you were my boss that I work for, I would come to you and say, okay, a simple occlusal on two, how long does it take you?
Hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
say 20 minutes. I'm going to add probably 5 to that, depending on if you're on 5-minute increments or 10-minute increments in the schedule, because you always want to schedule kind of a little bit of room for the what ifs. Maybe it'll turn into an MOD and now you need a matrix and all that stuff. But it really should start with what you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable with an hour for an Emax, then let's give you an hour,
Yeah.
but not be shortening it or giving you so much time that you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs. So really, I think the front and the dental assistant and the dentist have to work together to that schedule. And also, emergency patients come up. But what happens is when the schedule gets so hectic and back, dental assistants can only do so much. And then they start cutting corners like on infection control and maybe forgetting notes or not setting up correctly, which when you don't set up correctly and you're halfway through a procedure and you don't have an item, guess what you have to do? You have to unglove, go get the item, and who knows if it's even where it's supposed to be, and then come back. So there
Yeah.
really is sometimes the front doesn't understand how much has to go into when we're rushed and pressed for time. Just for production, shall I say? Because sometimes the front thinks it's all about the production, and it's not. It's really, to make the dentist and the patient's life less stressful, it has to have certain systems.
That's a really strong observation. I'll tell you, one of the things we've done in our practice for years is we've
Hmm.
taken our clinical team and said, hey, you know what? For half a day, you're going to go live up front. And we've taken some of our front office team and said, for a half day,
Hmm.
hey, you're going to come and hang out in the back. And everybody starts to see each other's world. And I
Yeah.
know I had a newfound respect because I did it myself as a dentist to be like, wow, the phone's ringing, someone's walking in, two people are coming out. I'm overwhelmed. But you and I tend to walk
Hmm.
up front in that like 30 seconds of quiet. We're like, what the heck is everybody goofing around up here for? But that's like a moment between the chaos.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
if you're here on the front office team, like the same stuff happens on our side. When we have enough time to do the job well and we've got a good patient, it goes pretty smoothly. But
Right.
when we don't have enough time or we have a difficult patient, all those things start to stack up and it gets out of control in a hurry.
It does, and it makes things start to break down. Patients start waiting, things, the doctor's feeling the pressure, and things just get a little bit worse at times. And at the end of the day, everybody's exhausted and they just want to go home. And
Yeah,
sometimes it just doesn't, and that's why sometimes people tend to leave an office is because there's just no systems in place and there's no way to fix what's broken and nobody listens to solutions.
true story. All right, friends. So we're going to leave you with a three-step process that I would recommend you use as you like assess and calibrate and elevate as a
Love
team
that
together.
word, calibrate. Love it, love it,
Yeah.
love
Yeah, we got to do it, right? The
it.
first thing we
Mm-hmm.
have to look at is, do we have the right circumstances in place to actually do all the things that we say we want to do? The
Right.
next level is, do we have the skills? Is everybody on the team trained up enough? Are we developed enough on the front and the back, assisting hygiene dentist? And then if we have both of those, do we have the will as a team to be a team and help each other? So check those three out. Don't think you
Mhm.
can go from circumstances right to will. Don't go right to
Right.
will without checking those other boxes. And Julie, how does everybody find you to get more great tips from you?
Dental Assistant Rocks on Instagram and Julie
Cool.
Varney on TikTok. And I just
Awesome.
share tidbits. My favorite thing is when people ask me questions and I can respond back with an honest answer. And sometimes it's not the answer that people want to hear, but when you've been doing it for so long, there's
Yeah.
tons of answers. You just have to find what's going to work for you, your doc, and your practice. And that's all that matters at the end of the day is walking away, getting in your car and being like, I did a good job today. Or getting in your car and saying, boy, that day sucked. How do I do it better tomorrow? That's it.
I love that. Thanks for hanging out with us. And
Thanks
friends,
for
when
having
you're
me.
not hanging out with us here, make sure you check out Julie on TikTok and Dental Assistant Rock on Instagram. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.